Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Princeton, where in our open and welcoming community we live our message of hope, love, justice, and joy. We extend a special welcome to our visitors this morning. We're glad you're here and invite you to stop by the welcome table after worship in Robinson Lounge so that we can answer your questions and get to know you a little bit. Again, welcome to the congregation. I'm very happy you joined us. I had one announcement. Is John Burton here? John is not here. Okay, John had an announcement, and the only other announcement I was asked to make was that Annie Schremp broke her arm, is that right? And she's at Capitol Health over in Hopewell. So I guess that's all the announcements.
Pride March next Saturday? That's the Pride March next Saturday?
Yes, Pride March. What time do we start? 10? Gather at 10. And we usually gather in the parking lot right up on Witherspoon Street. And then we march to the YMCA, and then there's in the field outside, we're going to have a canopy set up, and there'll be a whole bunch of people up there. So stop by. It's going to be sort of a party, sort of. Anyway, okay. Anyone else think of another announcement? Thank you, Carol. And now for our chalice lighting.
Good morning. First, I want to acknowledge this day of Pentecost, celebrated in many traditions, the Spirit inflaming hearts to take a message of hope far and wide. We light our chalice with this remembrance, and we add the following words. We humans grasp at words as a way of revealing to one another who we are. And we need to remind ourselves often that language is always changing. A word may rattle around like a tiny cannon in a pinball machine, hitting some target at one point and another target in another way. So consider the word queer. Queer has had evolving meaning, and perhaps comes to this, a way of explaining this once damaging word unfolding to be a treasured and closely held word by many, was unpacked for us by Rabbi Gil Steinhoff, who is the leader at the Center for Jewish Life at Princeton University. And he did it in a way that I particularly like and am striving to resonate in my own life. Queerness, he proclaims, queerness is that which intentionally transgresses cultural and social norms for the purpose of making humanity more compassionate, loving, and just. End of quote. I'm going to say that again. Queerness is that which intentionally transgresses cultural and social norms for the purpose of making humanity more compassionate, loving, and just. And with that in mind, who would not want to be queer?
Okay, as is traditional with our Pride service, I have to give you a brief history of Pride. And those of you who heard this probably at least 15 times before, you're free to check your emails and texts. It started with a police raid on a hot summer night in Greenwich Village. Cops stormed the Stonewall Inn, arresting patrons and forcing them into waiting police vehicles. But a nearby crowd grew restless and angry, and eventually someone, there's debate over who, but I really think it was drag queens, started whipping onlookers and fighting back. They pelted the police, forcing the homophobic cops to retreat and aggressive street confrontations continued over the next few nights. By the time the Stonewall riots ended in July 2nd, 1969, wow, the gay rights movement went from being a fringe issue largely ignored by politicians and the media to front-page news worldwide. Following the Stonewall riots, organizers wanted to build on the spirit of resistance. The following year, they organized a march to Central Park and adopted the theme Gay Pride as a counterpoint to the prevailing attitude of shame. That march down Christopher Street soon expanded to other cities, with many more joining in year after year through the 1970s, until Pride became the massive celebration we know today. Just a few weeks after the Stonewall riots, LGBTQ+ gathered for a gay power rally in Washington Square Park. It was clear that there was interest in holding more events like it, and over the following year, local activists proposed a larger annual march, modeled on quieter protests that had been happening for years in Philadelphia. The new annual protest was called Christopher Street Liberation Day, and were organized by representatives from groups like the Manhattan Society, Gay Activists Alliance, and Gay Liberation Front. The first parade in New York City occurred on June 28, 1970, and actually Rainbow Ministry went to the New York City Gay March probably about 6 or 7 years ago. We went for 2 years in a row, and the second year we went was the 50th anniversary of Gay Pride, and it was actually a World Pride Day, and there were people there from all over the world. We actually marched behind some people from Ukraine, which was very, very interesting. I think I have a Ukrainian flag, similar to these, at home. And we sat on one of the side streets for like 5.5 hours waiting to get into the parade. The parade was so huge. I'll tell you, by the time we got out onto the street, it was like, oh God, what are we doing here? But Reverend Bill was there that day with us, marching. As Pride has grown, so has commercial and corporate influence. That's led to concerns that Pride is moving away from its protest roots and becoming a party at a time when there's still a lot of work to be done. Not just for LGBTQ+ community, but for communities that overlap. For years, organizers have raised concerns about the prominence of corporate logos at Pride and about the money pouring in from wealthy companies. Of particular concern is the participation of politicians and corporations that don't have LGBTQ+ interests at heart. That last Pride Parade, when I was there, I picked up a transgender flag with these colors. And it wasn't a flag, it was a fan. And I opened it up, and inside it said Citibank. Organizers were outraged to see the local Pride event was partially funded by Google, despite the company's refusal to fully address homophobic harassment on its YouTube platform. In response, activists have established independent Pride events in many cities. They have a variety of names, such as Alternative Pride, or Queer Liberation March, or Reclaim Pride. Those events take the form of raucous protests, sometimes disrupting the orderly, wealthy, corporate-funded events, to remind everyone that Pride is more than just about rainbows. It's about radical change.
Thank you, Judy, for reminding us that the first Pride was a riot. It was a riot. It's not a humorous thing, it's what it was. We turn now to our whole lives sexuality education, our recognition ceremony. UU Princeton is dedicated to the spiritual growth of our children, youth, and adults, and relationship is at the heart of our faith. We uphold that one facet of human relationship, sexuality, is intertwined with spiritual development. And that is why, for decades, we here at UU Princeton have offered accurate, comprehensive, inclusive, values-based sexuality education known now as Our Whole Lives, or OWL. The program gives clear messages about self-worth, sexual health, responsibility, justice, and inclusivity. OWL recognizes and respects the diversities of participants with respect to biological sex, gender identity, gender expression, sexual orientation, and disability status, in addition to cultural and racial background. The activities and the language that's used throughout the program are chosen to be as inclusive as possible of our human diversity. It's always been important for us to offer OWL for our children, our youth. The junior high program is the one that we run most often, and for adults, we have an adult program as well. In the time of which we are living, when those in power are trying to deny the existence of our beloveds, are banning access to learning materials and stories that lift up identities across the human continuum, are denying the right to bodily autonomy, including access to reproductive health and gender-affirming care, it is more vital than ever that our OWL program remains strong. Today, we recognize and celebrate those youth who in the past year took part in OWL, the facilitators who guided them this year, facilitators who have supported OWL over the years. Rainbow Ministry chose the theme of visibility for today's service. And today we wish to make visible the dedicated members who have invested a tremendous amount of time, thought, creativity, and care to support us, particularly our youth, towards developing healthy relationships. The past 2 times we have offered OWL, we have done so in partnership with the Unitarian Universalist congregation in Washington Crossing, our sibling congregation in Titusville, New Jersey. We collaborated so we would have a critical mass of youth and full teams of facilitators. This past year, youth from the Somerset Hills congregation in Somerville also joined in. So that was 16 youth who took part over the course of the year between our 3 congregations. They were led by a team of 4 facilitators, 2 from Washington Crossing and 2 from UUCP. Lauren Foss and Rebecca Thompson, would you please come forward? You are our 2 facilitators that co-led OWL this year. And 2 of our youth who took part in the program, Max and Amna, has some gifts of recognition for you. One is a pin that celebrates you as a children and youth ministry leader at UU Princeton, and one is a UUA OWL pin. So yes, you can give the ones to Rebecca here and Lauren. So we thank the 2 of you for your leadership, and we thank Amna and Max and Ian and Akash and your families for your participation in OWL this past year. Our thanks as well to Christy Marciano, Emma Moore, and our seminarian Pauline Najander for being part of the LGBTQ plus guest panel for our youth this year, which is a vital part of the program. So alongside Rebecca a couple of years ago, Jean DeVoe, who we invite forward, is a more recently trained OWL facilitator who served OWL in partnership with Washington Crossing in 2022 to 2023. Thank you, Jean, for your support then, and hopefully to come. You also receive one of our UUA OWL pins. And we next want to recognize some of our legacy OWL facilitators who have supported our program in past years, some as recently as amid the pandemic when we needed literally all bodies on deck to ensure that the youth at the time that were here received OWL education. They include Bill Gilmore, if you're here today. There you are. He was waiting for his name. Tom Carusa, Kevin Trainer, and then I'm not sure if Peter Mackold or Tom Royer could be here today, but they're also in that set of folks of OWL. Could we have recognition for them. We invite Judy Fee forward as well, who has served with much dedication as a lead OWL facilitator over the time I have been so lucky to minister with you. Thank you, Judy. Judy. Judy also, in addition to working with some of the youth, co-facilitates OWL for adults with Alice Deenan. Speaking of Alice Deenan, Alice, I want you all, come all the way up. Come all the way up here. Alice, you come here. You do a lot. So Alice has facilitated and guided values-based sexuality education at UUCP before it was known as OWL. OWL was published in 1999. The previous version was called AYS, About Your Sexuality. So did that start for you in the 70s or in the 80s?
I just know that my oldest son went through.
Okay. Okay, so your oldest son went through. So it was before 1999, of which Alice has been facilitating OWL. She has served as one of the primary, if not the primary coordinator of the program for these decades, identifying potential advisors, identifying potential advisors, sometimes in that way, ensuring that they receive the training, ensuring that this minister, as well as other leaders, have been trained, and nurturing many, many, many youth with her compassionate heart and her wacky sense of humor, some of which includes math that I do not understand. Alice, we appreciate your unwavering support of OWL over these years, and this gift that we have cannot match everything that you have gifted to us. So in addition to the pin that's at the bottom of this bag for you, we have a t-shirt, and it says, "Everybody is sacred." Everybody. With our Side with Love logo. So, this is for you. And I would just like to be able to give you a hug. Do you want to say something briefly? Briefly. I said briefly.
Those of you who are out there, if you have not had the experience of taking an OWL training, please consider it. It really is an eye-opening experience for anyone to be able to get in touch with their own past and how they grew into their own sexuality in order that being trained, they won't have to experience that while they're actually dealing with youth trying to figure out who they are. But the trainings are magnificent. Please consider doing one.
Thank you. That was my segue, that in closing our ceremony, we asked you to consider your commitment to OWL. We're in need of great facilitators that will continue to build upon the foundation of all of those here so we can ensure OWL remains a strong program for all of our children and youth and adults to come. We in our sibling congregation of Washington Crossing are planning to co-host a training the spring of 2026. We'll be reaching out to those of you who are maybe interested in both participating. You can reach out to me, but we'll also need folks to help host in terms of providing meals and taking care of those from around our region that will come in for the training. So again, thank you to all of our OWL facilitators, legacy and present and continuing. And now I see we do have a few, you may all sit down, thank you again. And we do have at least a couple of young people here with us today. So if you would like to join me We are going to go do a Pride-themed activity together, including creating some flair for you, and if we are able to, as many other members of the congregation that might choose to march in the Pride Parade together next week. And we'll sing as we go.
For our meditation this morning, I'm going to read a poem by Rumi. And it's actually two poems. They're kind of strung together because they dovetail nicely. And I'm going to read it twice, because Rumi deserves to be read twice. Your grief for what you've lost lifts a mirror up to where you're bravely working. Expecting the worst, you look, and instead, here's the joyful face you've been wanting to see. Your hand opens and closes, and opens and closes. If it were always a fist or always stretched open, you would be paralyzed. Your deepest presence is in every small contracting and expanding, as the two as beautifully balanced and coordinated as bird wings. Muhammad says, I come before dawn to chain you and drag you off. It's amazing and funny that you have to be pulled away from being tortured, pulled out into the spring garden. But that's the way it is. Almost everyone must be bound and dragged here. Only a few come on their own. Children have to be made to go to school at first, and then some of them begin to like it. They run to school. They expand with learning. Later, they receive money because of something they learned at school, and they really get excited. They stay up all night as watchful and as alive as thieves. Remember the reward you get for being obedient. There are two types on the path. Those who come against their will, the blindly religious people, and those who will obey out of love. The former have ulterior motives. They want the midwife near because she gives them milk. The others love the beauty of the nurse. The former memorize the proof texts of conformity and repeat them. The latter disappear into whatever draws them to God. Both are drawn from the source. Any movings from the mover, any love from the beloved. Okay, I'm going to read this again. You get a sense of where he's going with this, and now you can see a little bit deeper into it. Your grief for what you've lost lifts a mirror up to where you're bravely working. Expecting the worst, you look, and instead, here's a joyful face you've been waiting to see. Your hand opens and closes, and opens and closes. If it were always a fist, or always stretched open, you'd be paralyzed. Your deepest presence is in every small contracting and expanding. The two is beautifully balanced and coordinated as bird wings. Muhammad says, I come before dawn to chain you and drag you off. It's amazing and funny that you have to be pulled away from being tortured, pulled out into the spring garden. But that's the way it is. Almost everyone must be bound and dragged here. Only a few come of their own. Children have to be made to go to school at first, and then some of them like it. They run to school. They expand with the learning. Later, they receive money because of something they learned at school, and they get really excited. They stay up all night as watchful and alive as thieves. Remember the reward you get for being obedient. There are two types on the path, those who come against their will, the blindly religious people, and those who obey out of love. The former have ulterior motives. They want the midwife near because she gives them milk. The others love the beauty of the nurse. The former memorize the proof texts of conformity and repeat them. The latter disappear into whatever draws them to God. Both are drawn to the source. Any movings from the mover. Any love from the beloved.
Good morning. I'm Kei Hasegawa. I'm mother of transgender woman. Today, I would like to talk about my child's journey of transition, that gender affirmation surgery she took in March this year. As some of you may know, I talk about her twice here at UUCP. In the TIDWA Transgender of Remembrance in November 2021, and in the Rainbow Ministry Service in March 2022. My child's name is Taki, who is 34 and lives in the Bay Area in California with her girlfriend, who has been supporting my child a lot in mind, body, and spirit since they got together in 2020. Taki's girlfriend also had gender affirmation surgery when she was in college. Taki came out to me on the Thanksgiving Day weekend in 2017. Thanks to my friend Judy China, her wife Pat, and others who I met in a church circles a couple of years before my child's coming out. So her coming out felt very natural for me, and I celebrated instead of being upset about it. Gender affirmation surgery is a procedure that helps transgender people transition to align with their gender. Gender affirmation surgery can include top surgery and bottom surgery. Taki discovered that she was transgender when she was in kindergarten, but was in denial until her mid-20s when she came out. Even after coming out, in the beginning, she was not sure she was a man, woman, non-binary, or anything in between. So she asked me to use they, them pronouns. However, over time, she eventually became certain and confident of her identity as a woman. Upon this discovery, she grew the desire to dress as a woman and wanted to have a woman's body. The process was not easy. She met multiple therapists many times and was in denial about wanting to have gender affirmation surgery. After long conversations and reflections, she finally concluded that she did indeed want to have the surgery. The night she realized this, she cried loudly on her girlfriend's chest. The process of the procedure was also very challenging. It took about 4 years since she decided to have the surgery, and she has to postpone it 3 times. First, she selected a doctor and scheduled the surgery for 2023. However, doctor withdrew from his medical network, and the surgery had to be postponed until the spring of 2024. Furthermore, she has to have a pre-surgery procedure, which is electrolysis, every month to the surgery date. It cost about $2,000 each month. And she had to fight with her insurance company to get reimbursement. Finally, she had to write a letter to the State Department of Health to help her with the reimbursement. Luckily, the state DOH ordered the insurance company to cover a portion of it so she could save some money. Then Taki realized her company's medical insurance was not sufficient for the surgery. So she decided to purchase her own insurance, ensuring she would pay the maximum out of pocket at worst. Because of the change in insurance, she has to postpone her surgery again to March this year. Despite a lot of difficulties, she finally had surgery this March. She was told it took about 2 months to recover, but fortunately, her surgery went very well. She could go to the bathroom by herself on the day of the surgery and started eating normal food on the next day. When I visited to help her for 2 weeks after the surgery, she walked to the entrance and opened the door for me. And the next day, she drove her car for grocery shopping with me. Compared with her girlfriend's affirmation surgery, which was about 10 years ago, and another friend's surgery, which was done 1 week before my child's, her recovery was very smooth and quick. Taki is very happy and satisfied with the surgery and really appreciates the support she got from her surgeon, her girlfriend, and other friends, and me. As a token of her gratitude, she gave me a gift card for a massage. Now I remember I need to use it before the expiration. Through this long and arduous journey, starting from her first realization in kindergarten to the recovery from her gender affirmation surgery, I'm very proud of Taki for bravery and perseverance. Thank you for listening to me.
Welcome to LGBTQ Pride Month. While Pride is a protest, it is also a celebration. There needs to be a balance between the two. If it doesn't feel as much like a celebration this year, there's a reason for that. Lots of LGBTQ folks are scared, especially the trans folks, who have been targeted by the current political climate. It feels like all the progress we've made in recent years has resulted in a backlash, and no one knows yet how far and how long that will go on. Pride and visibility are tightly intertwined. According to the Human Rights Campaign, an LGBTQ rights organization hosting events at World Pride, our visibility has never mattered more, and neither has our strength. While it's certainly possible to feel pride hidden away in your heart, most Pride activities involve being out and visible to the public at large. The idea of Pride, whether protest or celebration, is to be seen. But this is inherently a difficult thing for many in the LGBTQ community, every year and this year in particular. Being visible for some queer people means having a target on their back and exposing them to possible discrimination, bullying, or much worse. Or it may mean not having their gender identity accepted. For many years, queerness was considered a disease, and many people still believe that and judge LGBTQ people because of that. Even if it just means not fitting in, being visible can take its toll. In his Medium article, The Unseen Toll of Navigating Life as a Gay Man, Visible and Vulnerable, gay therapist Gino Cosme writes, "There's a psychological weight to being seen, that rarely makes it into the celebratory Instagram posts and corporate rainbow logos. I've experienced firsthand what I'll refer to as the visibility paradox. The paradox goes something like this. Being invisible hurts. It disconnects you from community, reinforces shame, and keeps you isolated. But being visible, that can hurt too, exposing you to discrimination, violence, and the exhausting labor of constantly educating others about your existence. A trans friend once told me something that's been echoing in my mind ever since. Some days I just want to exist without being a statement. Cosme writes, "Damn, that hit me hard," because I recognize that feeling immediately. Humans are social creatures, and we want to feel that sense of belonging, of fitting in. Many LGBTQ+ folks grew up feeling alone. We look around and don't always see those who are like us. This isolation can lead to anxiety, depression, and even thoughts of suicide. In fact, LGBTQ+ youth are 4 times as likely to attempt suicide as their peers. According to Trevor Project's 2024 U.S. National Survey on the mental health of LGBTQ+ young people, 39% of LGBTQ+ young people seriously considered attempting suicide within the past year, including 46% of transgender and non-binary young people. That is a staggering number. As the photographer Sterling Graves said, pride is important because tonight someone still believes that they're better off dead than being themselves. But LGBTQ+ young people who reported living in very accepting communities attempted suicide at less than half the rate of those who reported living in very unaccepting communities. And how do they know they're living in very accepting communities? We need to be visible and show them our support, whether we're members of the community or we identify as allies. There is an organization called High Tops in Princeton, which hosts a trans youth forum for trans youth by trans youth. The Rainbow Ministry supports this program, and this year I was able to attend on Zoom. Someone asked the question, what can allies do? And the answer was that they need allies to do more than just post to social media. We need to get in the trenches and help. To advance our beloved community, to truly honor the inherent worth and dignity of each person, we all need to be there for our LGBTQ+ siblings. In the Harvard Business Review, Jacqueline M. Chen and Samantha Joel surveyed LGBTQ+ individuals to determine what made a good ally. 3 themes emerged. Being accepting, they make people feel safe and supported. Taking action, they advocate for the group, raise awareness, and defend the group. And having humility, they are a good listener, they are open to correction, they are willing to learn. While being accepting was most important, it was not sufficient on its own. Action was critical to not just performing allyship. Action means anything from educating oneself about the issues LGBTQ+ folks are facing, to standing up at New Jersey school board meetings to defend Policy 5756, the guidance that helps to protect trans students, to using someone's pronouns correctly and using inclusive language, to the difficult work of confronting people with biases here in our community and in the larger world beyond, to supporting pro-LGBTQ+ legislation by contacting your representatives and participating in advocacy campaigns, to supporting organizations that support the queer community. It's important for allies to be seen for more than one reason. Those in the LGBTQ+ community need to see that they are not alone, and the larger world needs to see that there are people who will be there for us and give them the courage to be there for us as well. When we are side by side, there is strength in numbers and strength in visibility. There are those who question whether visibility actually fosters acceptance. As Jason Collins, the openly gay former NBA player, said, "Openness may not completely disarm prejudice, but it's a good place to start." And visibility doesn't always have to be a big showing in order to make a difference. Just being visibly accepting of LGBTQ+ people in your personal circle can lead to someone you know finding the courage to come out or disclose to you because they feel safe with you. In a world where being queer does not feel very safe right now, you can be the safe place that someone needs. Personally, one of my favorite ways for allies to be visible and provide safety is to wear those pride shirts that say, "Free mom hugs," "Free dad hugs," or "Free parent hugs." Offering parental hugs to LGBTQ+ people whose own parents may not accept them as they are is a powerful show of love. So to those of you who have been in the trenches and doing the work all along, thank you. We appreciate you. I encourage every one of you to find your own way to be visible. Whether you are visible in a big way or a small one, you could make all the difference in the world. Now I'd like to extend an invitation to you. Yes, you, sitting there patiently listening. This coming Saturday the 14th is Princeton Pride, and the UUCP Rainbow Ministry will be leading a group to march, dance, roll, and sashay in the parade. Plus, we'll have an outreach table at the joyous after party. If you want to attend the No King's Day protest, there's time to do both. Whether you are part of the LGBTQ community or you are an ally, please come join us. Details are in your order of service. Celebrate, protest, and be visible.
As we conclude our service, where is this? I'd like to just announce that special thanks for members of the Rainbow Ministry for helping to put this service together. Suzanne built and wrote our order of service. So, an amazing job. Thank you. And members of the Rainbow Ministry, we're going to get together after the service and have lunch together. So if you're on the mailing list, feel free to join us. And if you're feeling unusually queer, you're also willing to join us. So each day, every day, we are blessed to be the embodiment of what is possible. With justice and equality ground us in all we do. At the end of our hour, we extinguish our chalice, knowing that its light carries us until we gather again. Go forth, grateful for the moments before you, the breath within you, the people among you, and the Spirit guiding you toward lives of greater love, beauty, and kindness. And go forth knowing that you are held always and always with neighbor and stranger by that great love of no beginning and never ending. Go in peace, and amen.